Hello everyone, I am Harika Shinde from Institute of Aeronautical Engineering and I am from Computer Science and Engineering branch. Today I am here to share and present my AAT concept video of a course Business Economics and Financial Analysis. So my topic is factors affecting demand forecasting. Let's begin. First, what is demand forecasting? Demand forecasting or estimation may be defined as a process of finding values for demand in future time periods. In other words, KINDIF and still, demand forecasting is an estimate of a sales during a specified future period based on proposed marketing plan and a set of particular uncontrollable and competitive force. Next, significance of demand forecasting. There is a lot of significance of demand forecasting. Some of them are listed below. They are fulfilling objectives, preparing budget, stabilizing employment and production, expanding organization, taking management decisions, evaluating performance, helping government, etc. are some of the significance of demand forecasting. Next, what are objectives of a demand forecasting? Objectives of a demand forecasting are classified into short-term objectives and long-term objectives. Short-term objectives mainly contains formulating production policy, formulating price policy, controlling sales, arranging finance. Long-term objectives mainly contains deciding the production capacity, planning long-term activities, etc. are the objectives of a demand forecasting. Now, short-term objectives include the following. They are formulating production policy, formulating price policy, controlling sales, arranging finance, etc. Includes the short-term objectives. Next, long-term objectives include the following: deciding the production capacity and planning long-term activities, etc. Now, factors influencing demand forecasting. There are a lot of factors affect of demand forecasting. They are types of goods, level of competition, price of goods, level of technology, economic viewpoint, etc. So let's begin. First, definition of a demand forecasting. Demand forecasting is a proactive process that helps in determining what products are needed, where, when, and in what quantities. There are a number of factors that affect demand forecasting. Some of the factors that influence and affect demand forecasting are types of goods. Affect the demand forecasting process to a larger extent. Goods can be a producer goods, consumer goods, or a serviceable. Apart from these, goods can be established and a new goods. Established goods are those goods which already exist in the market, whereas new goods are those goods which are yet to be introduced in the market. Information regarding the demand, substitutes, and the level of competition of a goods is known only in a case of established goods. On the other hand, it is difficult to forecast demand for the new goods. Therefore, forecasting is different for different types of goods. Now, competition level influence the process of demand forecasting in a highly competitive market. Demand for products also depend on the number of competitors existing in the market. Moreover, in a highly competitive market, there is always a risk of new entrants. In such a case, demand forecasting becomes difficult and challenging. Price of goods acts as a major factor that influences the demand forecasting process. The demand forecasts of organization are highly affected by the change in their pricing policies. In such scenario, it is difficult to estimate the exact demand of a product. Now, level of technology constitutes an important factor in obtaining reliable demand forecast. If there is a rapid change in a technology, the existing technology or products may become obsolete. For example, there is a high decline in the demand of a floppy disk with the introduction of a compact disk and pen drives for saving data in computer. In such a case, it is difficult to forecast demand for existing products in future. Next, economic viewpoint play a crucial role in obtaining demand forecasting. For example, if there is a positive development in an economy such as globalization and high level of investments, the demand forecast of organizations would also be positive. Excuse me. Factors affecting demand forecasting are price of goods, types of goods, competition, technology, and economic perspective. No. Steps of demand forecasting. The main steps involved in a demand forecasting are setting the objective, determining the time period. Steps of demand forecasting. Steps of demand forecasting mainly contains 5 steps. They are setting the objective, determining the time period, selecting method for demand forecasting, collecting data, and estimating results. Let's see brief about it. First, the steps involved in demand forecasting are explained as follows. First and the foremost thing is setting the objective. Refers to the first and foremost step of a demand forecasting process. An organization needs to clearly state the purpose of demand forecasting before initiating it. Setting objective of demand forecasting involves the following. Deciding the time period of forecasting, whether an organization should opt for short-term forecasting or a long-term forecasting, deciding whether to forecast the overall demand for a product in the market or only for the organization's own products, deciding whether to forecast demand for the whole market or for the segment of the market, deciding whether to forecast the market share of the organization. Determining the time period involves deciding the time perspective for demand forecasting. Demand can be forecasted for a long period or a short period. In the short run, determinants of demand may not change significantly or may run constant. Whereas in the long run, there is a significant change in the determinants of demand. Therefore, an organization determines the time period on the basis of its set objectives. Selecting a method for a demand forecasting constitutes on one of the most important steps of the demand forecasting process. Demand can be forecasted by using various methods. The method of demand forecasting differs from the organizations to organization depending upon the purpose of forecasting, time frame, and data requirement and its availability. Selecting the suitable method is necessary for saving time and cost and ensuring the reliability of the data. Collecting data requires gathering primary or secondary data. Primary data refers to the data that is collected by the researchers through observations, interviews, and questionnaires for a particular research. On the other hand, secondary data refers to the data that is collected in the past but can be utilized in the present scenario of a research work. Next and the last thing is the estimated results. Involves making an estimate of the forecasted demand for predetermined years. The result should be easily interpreted and presented in a usable form. The result should be easy to understand by the readers or management of the organization. Now, therefore, the most factors influencing demand forecasting are types of goods, level of competition, price of good, level of technology, economic viewpoint, etc. Are 5 are the most and the foremost points which influence and affects the factors are the factors that influence and affects the demand forecasting. Types of goods affect the demand forecasting process to a larger extent. Goods can be producer goods, consumer goods, or services. Apart from these, goods can be established, and the new goods, established goods, are those goods which can be already exist in the market, whereas new goods are those which are yet to be introduced in the market. Information regarding the demand, substitutes, and the level of competition of a goods is known only in case of established goods. On the other hand, it is difficult to forecast demand for the new goods. Therefore, forecasting is different for different types of goods. Now, competition level. Competition level influence the process of demand forecasting. In a highly competitive market, demand for a product also depend on the number of competitors existing in the market. Moreover, in a highly competitive market, there is always risk of a new entrants. In such a case, demand forecasting becomes difficult and challenging. Price of goods also influence the demand forecasting. Level of a technology and the economic viewpoint also influence and affect the demand forecasting. Now, the factors affecting demand forecasting are price of goods, type of goods, competition, technology, economic perspective, etc. Thank you. This was my PPT and a 80 concept video of a course, business economics and financial analysis. Thank you.